You know, pretty much everyone has a camera in their pocket these days. We're constantly capturing our lives, right? But what happens when those cameras pick up something else? Something that's, well, impossible to explain. Today, we're diving into the pretty chilling world of found footage that just might show us something paranormal.
We were just out walking my dog, and when we came in, we heard Jesus Christ. Grinch!
It's the ultimate question, isn't it? Can a camera really capture a ghost? Is what we're seeing just a weird reflection, a glitch in the software, or are we getting a quick peek into a world that's usually hidden from us? Let's find out.
So today, we're gonna break down 6 really unsettling clips. Think of them like case files. We're gonna look at the stories, the so-called evidence, and try to figure out what's really going on in some of the creepiest footage out there.
Okay, so this is the leash. There she goes again. I don't think the leash is gonna move, but she's definitely sensing something. Every single day.
Okay, let's dive into our first case file. It all starts in a place you'd never expect, a totally normal Airbnb. A family was staying there for a wedding, but their trip took a very, very strange turn. And it all began with their dog. It all started with something kind of small, but super weird. The dog's leash suddenly flies up the stairs like someone just yanked it.
So I wanted to show you guys some footage of my dog with these stairs. So here's another clip that I got of her doing it. Walk over and see her, and she was so locked in.
Then the dog gets completely obsessed with this one spot, right next to a locked door the family hadn't even seen before. Later that night, things get way more intense. The doorknob on that same locked door starts turning all by itself. But the craziest part? They set down a phone to record, and something seems to grab it, making it float for a second before it crashes to the floor.
So I think I figured out why my dog just is always hanging out right here. So I just found a door back here. So I don't think that it's what's on the stairs. I tried to check, but the door is locked. Obviously it's an Airbnb, so they lock a lot of the doors up. Yeah, I don't think that it's what's on the stairs like what I initially thought. I think it's what's below.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Naturally, after seeing the doorknob turn, they thought someone else was in the house. But they called the host, and he confirmed they were the only ones there.
So this is the switch. You guys can see their light is on right there. I wonder if it's... Just there's something right there. Oh my god.
So the easiest explanation, an intruder, is completely off the table, which, just makes everything even stranger.
sent the video to the landlord of the Airbnb, and hold on, let me turn asking like, hey, is there someone else renting it out as well as us or what? Because basically he was like, no, you guys are the only ones that are in the Airbnb right now, like booked out for the week.
So what was actually behind that locked door? Well, the family found out it was a basement, but they never got to see inside.
Scary. Okay. Okay, every time we've knocked before, this doorknob would turn a little bit.
Well, the family found out it was a basement, but they never got to see inside. The footage just leaves us hanging with that one chilling question.
Okay, so our next couple of cases, they hit a little closer to home, literally. And that's what makes them so unnerving, because they happen in the one place we're all supposed to feel totally safe.
We've got two really different stories here, but they have a common thread. On one hand, you have a grandmother, Paulina, who's just trying to prove to her skeptical family that she's not making things up. And on the other, a new mom named Akina sees something that looks exactly like her husband.
В зеркале было отражение чего-то не очень непонятного на видео. Я вам всем докажу.
Except he's hours away.
You can imagine, right? Paulina's family just thought, she was getting older, maybe imagining things, but then she caught this on camera.
Уходи отсюда. Я тебя не боюсь. Уходи отсюда. Уходи из моего дома. Уходи. Я тебя не боюсь. Уходи отсюда. Уходи отсюда. Я тебя не боюсь. Уходи. Уходи, я сказала. Уходи отсюда. Уходи. Я тебя не боюсь.
An ornament on her mantle doesn't just fall, it curves upwards, like it's defying gravity. Even spookier, she records what seriously looks like a head forming inside her empty fireplace. It just appears as she gets closer, and then poof, it's gone.
Okay, Akina's story, this is pure nightmare fuel. She wakes up in the middle of the night and sees her husband standing in the doorway, just staring at her. The problem? She knew for a fact he was hours away from home. To make it even more terrifying, her security alarm had gone off, but all the doors were locked. And then, her bedroom door just opens and closes on its own. So you have to ask, if that wasn't her husband, who or what was in her house?
All right, for our next couple of cases, we're heading into spaces that are supposed to be for kids, playrooms, schools, and this is where that line between a child's imagination and something else gets really, really blurry.
So this one starts out pretty normal, right? A little girl, Adrian's daughter, has an imaginary friend, but she describes this friend as being very tall. Kind of weird, but okay. Then her toys start turning on by themselves over and over again. The real kicker, though, is this security footage. You can see what looks like a figure peeking out from behind her playpen, and at that exact same second, a bowl just flies off a shelf nearby. Now hold on, there's a perfectly logical scientific explanation for seeing faces in things. It's called pareidolia. Basically, our brains are wired to see patterns, especially human faces. It's an old survival instinct, but it's also why you might see a face in the clouds or a figure in the shadows of a playpen. But here's the thing. Pareidolia might explain seeing a face, but can it explain a bowl flying off a shelf at the very same moment? That's where it gets tricky. You might be able to explain the visual part as a trick of the mind, but the physical event, the falling bowl, that's a lot harder to just brush off. And that feeling of a safe space being violated, it's not just in playrooms. Our next clip takes us to a school in the Philippines, a place that's apparently known for this kind of stuff, which again really challenges that whole idea of a safe space.
So you've got these students, they're filming in what looks like an empty restroom, and then a stall door just swings open. Right after that, you can clearly hear a little kid crying. They go and check all the stalls, and as the camera shows, there's nobody there. Now, some scientists might say low-frequency sounds can make you feel weird and even hear things, but that doesn't explain the door moving, does it?
Okay, for this next one, we're actually going back in time. And this footage is so compelling because the creepy thing that happens is directly linked to a real and very tragic moment in history. The year is 1942, and the location? The Philippines, right in the middle of World War II. You have to remember the history here, because for this next clip, context is everything. So this footage we're about to see was shot at Fort Mills, specifically at a place called Battery Grubs. This spot, it has a really tragic history. It's where Filipino and American soldiers fought an incredibly intense battle, and many of them lost their lives there. And you know, places with that much tragedy and emotion are often ground zero for ghost stories. So check this out. It's a school field trip, almost 70 years after the battle, and a student's camera catches this weird, fast-moving blur on an upper level of the fort. It's there for a split second and then it's gone. Now, a skeptic would say, hey, it's a low-quality camera, it's just a glitch. But for believers, it's confirmation bias. They go to a haunted fort expecting to see something, and their brains interpret a camera flaw as the ghost of a soldier.
All right, so we've looked at 6 really different cases, from a modern Airbnb to a historic military fort, but they all bring us back to the same big question we started with. What are we really looking at here? Is all of this just camera glitches, tricks of the light? Are we just seeing a bunch of really strange coincidences all lined up in a row? Is there a perfectly rational answer for everything? Or is something else going on? Is it possible our technology is getting so good, so sensitive, that it's starting to capture things that are just beyond what we can normally see? Are these glitches actually windows into something else? And that kind of makes you think, doesn't it? With all the thousands of photos and videos we take, all the digital moments we scroll past, when you look back at your own stuff, what might be hiding in the background? What might you have missed?